I'm sorry about that. It was a telemarketer. Of course it was. And then I get my brayer. I guess this will be scrapbook tutorial number 4. My husband is working on building a barn, and I didn't look at the number. I just, of course, you know, you always think the worst, so I didn't look at the phone number. I just answered it. Okay, now we're going to give that just a minute because it does not take this glue very long to dry. And we're going to get our scoreboard out. And while that's taking a minute to dry, I was going to tell you, I changed my mind on my paper pad that I'm going to use because I've been hoarding this Prima lavender paper, and I don't know why I'm hoarding that paper. So I'm going to make my cousin's book with this Prima lavender. There's no need in hoarding it, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to incorporate into some of it Cherry Blossom by Prima because it's pretty similar to the same colors, I think. Or maybe not. Depends. Just depends. So that's the paper I'm going to use. And I went ahead and cut out some of the embellishments that I'm going to use, like the Heartfelt Creations Ariana Blooms flowers and the Heartfelt Creations leaves. And I've got those cut out and stamped. And I've got my dies laying over here, and that should be alright. Now we're going to use 4 hinges. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And you want at least 1.5 inches to 1.25 inches on your one side here. Okay? Then however it comes out over here, it just comes out. But you want at least 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches. I do 1.5 inches. So there's my first one. Okay, now I want the first one's going to be 1/2 inch from the side. Okay, that's the first, going to be the first hinge. You're going to do 1/2, 1/2. That's the first hinge. Now I'm going to skip to 3/4 because that's my gusset. And if you're not a big embellisher or you don't like a lot of flips and flops in your book, you can do 1/2 inch gussets. Now I'm going to do 1/2 inch again for my hinge. And another 1/2 inch because that's my hinge. It takes 2 to make a hinge. 1, 2, 3, 3/4 inch for my gusset. 1/2 and 1/2. That's 1, 2, 3, and I want 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3/4 inch for my gusset. Then 1/2 and 1/2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 hinges. All right. Now you see I have a big space left over here on this end. I will cut some of that off because that's really too much. I will put this score line on 1.5 inches, and I will just cut that off. Save that. You might need it for something. Now, to keep from getting confused, this is what I do. I take an X, I mark an X on each one of the 1/2 inch squares. That lets me know where to put my tape. Okay? I'm going to use 1/2 inch tape. Getting ahead of myself again. I want to pre-fold. Now for the tape. And you put it on one side of that 1/2 inch. Right up next to the score line. Move over to the next one because you only need one piece of tape because it's a 1/2 inch and it's going to catch both sides. If you use quarter, if I use 1/4 inch, I'll show you what I do when I use 1/4 inch. I use 1/4 inch for you. Okay, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch. I'm going to take it down the edge. I'm going to take it down the edge of this score line right here. Now I'm going to move in, and I'm going to take it into the next score line right here along the edge of it, so that when it closes up, this piece of tape will connect here, this piece of tape will connect there, and you've got your 1/2 inch covered. I'll show you. See how I put it on this inside score line and left the outside, but I put it on the outside of this side of the score of the hinge. But if you use 1/2 inch tape, you just have to put it on one side of the hinge. Now we're going to burnish it down. Take off our first piece of tape, and we're going to fold our 1/2 inch over. See? And here's your hinge. Here. And that's what the score tape is for. Not the score tape, I'm sorry. The tie-back is for the wear and tear on your hinge. That tie-back will not tear. You have to cut it. it will not tear. It has to be cut. So I'm going to the next hinge. I've skipped my gusset, and I'm going to the next hinge and folding it on the 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch is what it is. 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch. That's your hinges. Now on your quarter tape here, it's the same way. Your tape is going to catch. It doesn't matter because you've got it on the 1/2 inch side on each side there. Just like that. Lay it under there. See that score line right there? And that tape is right on it, and that score line there, and that tape is right on it, so that when it closes up, looks just like the others. No difference. Now you're going to fold it out. Take your bone folder and press as hard as you can to crease them real good. Now you're going to work your hinges. Okay, now we're going to put our score tape on our hinges. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch, and you take it to the very edge. Don't go over, just take it to the very edge of your paper. Side by side. Do not leave any spaces. If you leave any spaces, go back and cover it. And I'm going to finish this. It might take me, if it kicks off, it kicks off. So let me finish this. It should give you at least 3 or 4 more minutes to show you this. Let's see. If I could afford that $58 memory stick card, I'm not buying a new camera. Perfectly good camera. But all this electronics and digital stuff, it gets outdated, and they force you to buy this stuff you don't need because you have an old one. So therefore, causes you to have to buy new. They used to make products last really good. My first washer and dryer I used for 23 years. Since then, I'm lucky if I get 5 years out of a washer. I might get 8 out of the dryer. I'm going to turn this so I can see the very edge, and I'm going to have a little gap, and I'm going to get my 1/4 inch tape out for that. See, See that? You see that little gap right there? I don't want that. And the reason, this is what I have been searching and looking at. The reason you want to use tape on your hinges is there's some give to that tape, whereas the glue dries hard and it doesn't give. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've been told. So I'm going to burnish this all down, and I'm going to go in between. Take your bone folder and go into each one of those hinges right in against the crease or seam, because you want that to stick. And when I've burnished this, I burnish hard because I want it to stick. I try to make sure that it is on there to stay. And that's the back side of your hinges. Alright, I'm going to end this video. Hugs to you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.